the last 2 weeks, I've shot concerts, mountains, late nights out, and everything in between with this phone. And over again, I found myself saying, oh my god. Now, I had a pretty good hunch that I was gonna like the camera on Oppo's latest Ultra device, the Find X9 Ultra, because last year when I tested my first Oppo device, the Find X9 Pro, I said I really enjoyed using the system. It is so fun to play around with. But with the Ultra, there's more megapixels, an additional lens, and some wild native camera accessories, which in a lot of ways are the typical spec bumps we've come to know between a Pro and an Ultra phone, but in practice, this camera legitimately feels light years ahead of anything I've tested before. Though of course, that doesn't mean that it is without its problems, but let's start with the good. And that begins here, the main lens of this absolutely massive back camera array. It's a 23mm equivalent f1.5 lens with a 200 megapixel Sony sensor that measures 1/1.12 inches. Now, Oppo claims that this is the largest 200 megapixel sensor that's ever been integrated into a smartphone. But what does that actually mean for us? Well, first, if you want to edit your photos in post, you have the ability to shoot 16-bit 50 megapixel RAW max photos. But more importantly, when you use this mode, it's called master mode, to shoot these photos, the image goes through a processing pipeline that more so mimics a traditional camera rather than a smartphone. And also, it does not use any generative AI. On left is a photo for master mode, and on the right is that same photo shot in the standard mode. And you'll certainly notice how HDR-like the standard photo is, how incredibly bright the reds are, and how much more balanced the master mode image is. I love master mode. Everything it produces just feels more genuine, not to mention there's some cool presets that are easy to play with. Oppo also claims that in master mode, the color is tuned to match that of Hasselblad's. So, on the left is master mode, and on the right is that same photo taken with Hasselblad's X2D Mark II. Now, of course, the first thing you'll notice is there's not as much depth of field with the Oppo, and if we punch in, yeah, there's a lot more detail from the Hasselblad. But color-wise, it's not as far off as I thought it would be, although the contrast could use some work. And skin tones. Yeah, phones, man. Always struggling with skin tones. Alright, back to this absolutely massive camera array. This thing features not one, but 2 telephoto lenses, and an additional external telephoto lens. First, it's a 200 megapixel 3x tele that uses a periscope design. That amount of megapixels means that Oppo can crop into the middle of that lens to technically achieve a native 50 megapixel 6x zoom. Then there's a 50 megapixel 10x tele that uses a quintuple prism design. That means that the light enters this lens right here, bounces off 5 sort of mirrors before it reaches the sensor. That's insane, and it can produce some stunning results that I find are better than the S26 Ultra's 10x tele, which doesn't natively have as much contrast or as good of digital sharpening chops. Another thing that Oppo has that Samsung definitely does not is a whole-ass external tele lens that mounts to the front of the 200 megapixel 3x lens. I mean, look at the size of this thing. It's like a real lens. Oppo has yet to announce an official price for this bad boy. And yeah, I can't imagine it's gonna be cheap. But look what it can capture. I mean, obviously the downside is here you have to carry a whole ass lens and you have to use this particular case in order to mount it to your phone. But if you're willing to do all that, are you kidding me? It's pretty incredible to have a 300mm lens in your pocket. The last camera on the back is the ultra-wide, and I'm not as stoked about this one. When you compare master mode shot versus the standard shot via this lens, you can see just how much sharpening is going on in the standard mode to make this lens shine. This is also the lens that gets used for macro mode, which, hello computational overprocessed look. We got haloing here, digital sharpening here, assaulting levels of saturation everywhere. But before I get further into what ain't so great with this camera, I get asked all the time, Becca, can we please have a gallery where we can look at all the photos that you've taken? And thanks to this video's sponsor, Framer, you got it. This is a site I built just for the Oppo Find X9 Ultra using Framer. It's a no-code website building tool that operates more like a design program, think Figma. And new to Framer this month is shaders. That's what you're seeing down here in the background. Shaders let you design visual effects like animated gradients, particles, and image filters, all natively and creatively. Located in your insert panel over here are numerous patterns to start with that you can then adjust to fit your needs. I went with this wave pattern. I adjusted the amplitude, the speed, the height, and just like that, I had a background that draws folks in but doesn't distract. There's a link down in my bio if you want to check out what I made, check out the photos from this amazing camera, and also a link to Framer. If you need a really good looking website for any number of reasons, I cannot recommend Framer enough. No, seriously, just like go play around in Framer. It's incredibly fun and it's amazing what you can build. Thank you Framer for sponsoring this video. Now back to the show. As impressive as this camera is, as much as I have said, dude, look at that, I also have moments of, Let's pick back up with the ultra-wide. On the hardware front, that massive camera bump around back provides a nice rest for your finger, which helps you hold the phone. But when you take a photo with the ultra-wide lens that sits down here, unfortunately, you get a fair amount of this. I'm sure there is a great reason for this lens being located at the bottom of the camera array, but boy do I wish it was up at the top instead. The other problem is that video in low light is a bit jittery, not all that sharp, and overall just pales in comparison to the other lenses. I really can't name a smartphone that has an ultrawide that I love, because space and physics and cost, I mean, it's just simply hard to fit a great ultrawide into a device this slim. I just wish that this ultrawide lens matched the prestige, the image quality of the other lenses on this camera a bit closer. Let's talk about video. If you ask me, every trip to Vegas is just an excuse to get where we're about to go. Look at all those mountains. As you can imagine, video from this phone can really shine. It's stable, it's sharp, the colors are pleasing. But again, because of hardware and the sheer size of each lens, moving between lenses naturally causes a hell of a lot of very visible jumps. The lenses on this camera, they're almost as far apart as human eyes. So if you close one eye and then close the other, you'll notice that objects move in relation to each other in your vision. And that's exactly what's happening here. And of course, there's, I'm sure, software tricks that Oppo could be utilizing. I know Google does a ton of this, but for now, you're just gonna get a lot of dramatic shifts when zooming. The next problem is color shifts between the main sensor and the two tellies. You're gonna notice everything from white balance shifts to completely different renderings of the color of the sky. Of course, these shifts are happening because the system is analyzing what's in the frame. And the frame is changing dramatically, but I don't know, these are some dramatic shifts in color. Also in the telly, especially when shooting with the 10x lens, you're gonna see a lot of digital processing, which sometimes has this sort of AI look to it. Look at the smoothing of this dog's face, the bending of lines on this building. When viewing these images on a phone, you definitely won't notice. But crop in a bit, and things can get funky. And we need to talk about the selfie camera. I mean, it's fine. It's nice and wide, so I, with my shorter arms, can very easily fit 3 or 4 people in a frame, but it's also very slow, and skin tones are just kind of blah, like a blanket edit across everyone's face. And then lastly, I've had a few glitches in the camera software that I haven't been able to capture because every time I go to capture the glitch, it stops glitching. So you'll just have to take my word for it. But I've been shooting and the image will look like a glitch. It'll start to wobble uncontrollably as if the stabilization system isn't working. Or there was one time when I went to shoot video and the 0.5 lens just like wasn't there. Oh, and also sometimes you'll be shooting and the camera will just close out. I guess if I haven't been able to capture it on video, it's not happening enough that it's a problem, and maybe it won't be a problem to you, but it seems sort of strange to have a little bit of an unbuttoned experience with a device this expensive and this ultra. All right, so that's the good and the bad of this system, and now here's the overarching theme. This is my favorite camera I've ever used on a phone, and there is a name that I haven't said yet, which is Vivo, and I know the comments, they're gonna be filled with, you gotta try a Vivo device, and I do, Vivo, I'll be knocking on your door soon, but this video is about this one, and I'm just simply so impressed, and it mostly comes down to master mode. Being able to take it out of that super computational photography world, just a bit, not fully, and have a bit more creative control in a native camera app is amazing. And then to be able to build it out and put lenses on it, oh my gosh, it's awesome. Like, please make a wide angle lens next. Let's replace the ultra wides on these with like a moment sort of ultra wide. That would be incredible, but native. Okay, that's all I gotta say about that. I'm Becca. Let me know what you think of this phone down in the comments. Check out the site, see more photos from this bad boy. As always, I appreciate the hell out of you, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm about to hit 200K subs, which is crazy. I never thought that day would come. I never imagined that number next to my name, and it might just happen. So if you're the 200th, if you're that person that hits the button and it changes 200K, just know, I could cry thinking about it. Okay, that's all.